Hey guys! So today I wanted to go through my top 10 manga series. I feel like because this is a new account, I thought it'd be good to kind of show you guys what I'm into currently. So this is my current top 10. My current top 10 constantly changes, so this is probably going to be a video I do maybe once a year, maybe every once in a while. So I wanted to kind of set the tone for what I'm into right now. I have to move all of this now. Okay, so the first series I wanted to talk about, and by the way, this is not like from 10 to 1 on my list or 1 to 10. This is completely unranked. I just love all these series and I have no idea how to put one above the other, so just make that clear. So the first series I wanted to talk about is Sakamoto Days. If you've been following me for a while, I have talked about this series since I started my Instagram account. We follow Taro Sakamoto, who is a retired assassin, and it kind of shows us how you don't really retire from the assassin's world. So it all kind of just continues to follow him. He's married now, he has a kid, and he's a little chunky, which is the whole premise of Taro Sakamoto being this guy, but also being this guy at the same time. You'll understand. This is one of the only series that is ongoing that I have been kept up with, at least with the physical volumes. I'm not read up to what chapters are released yet. I'm up to chapter 220 and I believe we're on almost 250. I do need to catch up. But I just love this series. It's hilarious. It's the typical shounen series where there's a cast of characters, friendship beats everything. It's hilarious. It's action-packed. It gets serious. I've cried multiple times during this series. It has everything you love about shounen. What I also love about this is it's focused on an older character rather than a lot of shounen is focused on like high school or younger characters, or even like young adult, like 18, 19 years old. Taro Sakamoto is an older man, and it follows him after like his prime, where he has a kid, he's married, he's trying to just get past those action-packed years of his life and start relaxing. He opens up a convenience store called Sakamoto's, and that's where we kind of start the story. Some of the characters we get introduced to pretty immediately are Shin and Nagumo in this one. You see Shin up here. I don't know if you can really see anything. Shin, Blue, and Hisuke, I think is how you say his name. And I think Nagumo, that's all I'm going to say for now. These have been my favorite characters throughout the series. They have continued to stay amazing characters. And not just them as characters, but then their friendships between each other are just so amazing. Like I said, I have cried multiple times during the series. Sometimes it's warranted, sometimes I'm just, I cry a lot, so if it gets a little sappy in the story, I find tears in my eyes. You're gonna hear me talk a lot about how I cry during these series. That usually means it's gonna be in my top 10. I don't want to say too much about the series I don't want to say too much else because I feel like a lot of it has to do with where the story goes and how the story develops, and I think that's important for everyone to experience themselves. But this has continued to stay one of my favorite series. I got a Funko Pop. I'm hoping to eventually have a Funko Pop for each of these series. Even though I know some of these, I doubt we'll ever get a Funko Pop. Unfortunately, there's not enough love for them. I started reading this. I've seen a lot of people talking about it, and yeah, I decided to give it a go. I started reading this pretty early on in like me getting into manga and not being like in and out of manga. And it was one of the first series that I started reading, and it wasn't complete, and I read up to, I think it was at like 100 something chapters when I got into it, and I continuously like did not stop talking about it. This was one of the first series that I was talking about since the beginning of my Instagram account. And you'll see and hear other series that I have been talking about since then. So these are series that have stayed on my top 10 for like years now, at least some of these. So they're good. I have good taste, trust me. And now I have to move this again. Okay. So the next series I want to talk about is Yona of the Dawn. If I had to put a series as like my number one, it would be this series. Yona of the Dawn, we follow Yona and Hack at first, or Hack. I don't know how to pronounce his name. You all know who I'm talking about. Yona is the princess of the current king, and can I say anything else? Okay, no, I can't. Something happens, and they basically, can I say that? Okay, yeah, I can. Something happens and she has to flee the palace with Hack, who is her personal guard and has been for a while. They have grown up together. Hack has always been in the palace. He's a phenomenal fighter, and that is, you learn a little bit more about that. I won't say anything else. That's really all I can say about this series as far as the plot. Just know there's so much more to it, like an insane amount. If you can see the numbers of volumes I have, I don't think you can, but I have like 1 through 6, and then I have 8, 9, and then I have 30, 31, and then I have 39, 40, 41. I've not been collecting this in order, unfortunately. This is something I plan on getting every single volume for. I love the series so much. I definitely want to reread it very soon. I have not completed it. I finished off on volume 44, I believe, and I think there's only a few volumes left until the end, because the end finally got announced, and I don't want it to end, so I have been completely avoiding it. Like, at all costs. I have not even thought about picking up the next volume that came out, I think in December. I saw on my anime list that they finally put like last chapter number in it, and I'm sick. I don't even want to look at it. I've left it in my paused area. I have not even thought about going and ending the series, because what do you mean I only have like 20 something chapters and then it's over? Unless you're telling me there's gonna be another series, like spin-off, like series where it's like, oh, 20 years from now or 10 years from now that's the new series, Yona of the Dawn Shippuden, you know. Unless you're gonna do that, don't tell me it's ending. I mean, there's so many things I love about this series. One, if you want a slow burn romance, this is the slowest of the burns. I think it's not until like this pile of books, or this pile of volumes I have, where anything actually develops. On top of it, just the characters and their dynamics together. Let me not say anything. If you know, you know. But just the dynamics they have are just so incredibly like pure. Like, their survival depends on each other, and at first there's something that you learn, and at first you think like everything's kind of superficial because of it, but you learn just how much they actually all care for each other, and it is so incredibly sweet. I don't know how to explain it without spoiling anything, so I'm not going to continue, but just know, like, it feels so real. I'm telling you, when I finally caught up with this series, it broke my heart that I wasn't going to be like with these characters every day, because I had been reading this, I think it was last year I had spent months just reading this series. I did not read anything else. I maybe read like one book here and there, but for months all I read was this series, and I started slowing down as I realized I was getting to the end because I wanted to stay with these characters. I love them so much. So if I had to have a top one series, it would be this one. Okay, now we're switching. The next series, which is, as you can see, I have nothing here. The next series I want to talk about is Villains Are Destined to Die. This is the light novel, not the manhwa. And I don't have enough manhwa series that I've read to make like my top 10 favorite manhwas, so this is gonna be here. I don't have the manhwa like physically. I read all the volumes from the library, and then after that I read everything on the Tapas app, I believe. So unfortunately I don't have it. I am gonna start collecting the light novels at least, and I'm almost done. Look at that. I'm almost done with this one, so I'm probably gonna get the second one. I have plans going to the bookstore tomorrow, so most likely you'll probably see that I bought the second light novel before you see this video. Villains Are Destined to Die is kind of what got me into manga. I had started seeing a ton of people on my book account talk about Villains Are Destined to Die, and it looked so intriguing. It was also kind of during the time where I was falling out of love with romance books. I just wasn't interested, especially fantasy romance. When I saw people talking about this, it kind of felt like a new medium for me to try, like the romance genre, so I was like, why not? It sounds interesting enough. And I kind of already knew, like, manhwa, manga, anime, like romance has like a different sort of feel than romance books have. I picked it up, I read the first volume, I think, and after that I was like, I need to know what happens, obviously. I was very iffy about it at first because, like I said, things that are generally in manga and manhwa and anime romance series are not things you really see in books. So I was kind of like, it was difficult for me to get past certain things. But as I continued, because the people that were talking about it are people I trust a lot when it comes to their taste. So I picked it up and I continued past like my qualms. I ended up loving it. Oh my god. It is something I constantly think about. I've talked about in another one of my videos that we have not gotten a new chapter in like years at this point. I don't know if we're still going to, because even though volume 9 has been released this year and the last volume that was released before that was last year, I don't see any sort of news on a volume 10. So I don't know if we're actually getting anything else after this. But I did see that the light novels are only going to have 4 novels. And I did find the second novel already, and it's about the same size. Those other 2 books better be like this big. Because what do you mean that's it? It's showing that the light novel series is finished after 4 volumes, and I'm kind of like, no, what do you mean? Clearly that's wrong. Clearly you messed up. Clearly we need to fix that. What do you mean 4 volumes? Are you telling me the last 2 volumes are gonna have like over 2,000 pages? Because then I believe you. If not, fix that. But yeah, this series, I just ended up falling in love with it. I'm still trying to find a series that gives me the same feelings I felt during this one. It is so like, it's not funny at all. It's definitely something that I had to get used to. But just the stakes, I don't think I said what this was about. So basically, I don't know what the actual main character's name is. I don't know if we ever get that. But basically this girl, while she's in college, she plays this like dating sim game, and she falls asleep playing it like the whole night. And she wakes up in the game as the villainess of the game. And she is... This is what sucks about talking about series, because I don't know what I can say without spoiling something. But it's kind of like a reverse harem where there's a bunch of love interests that she has to try to gain affection points for. But remember, she's the villainess. It's basically she's playing in hard mode of the dating sim that she was playing on her phone. So it's very difficult. She's like the Duke's daughter, and because she's the villainess in hard mode, you basically like die if the affection points get low enough. So she's trying everything in her power to not die because she doesn't understand how she got there. It's an isekai. And also how to get out. Her thought process is like, if I reach the end, or if I get one of interest affection points to 100%, and I reach an ending to one of the stories, maybe that means I'll get out of this world. Yeah, that's kind of the premise of the book. I can't really say anything else. It's amazing. Read it. So the next series I want to talk about is Death Note. I'm sure a lot of you already know about this series, but for the people that don't know, basically we primarily follow Light, who finds a notebook on the ground, which is the Death Note, and we kind of, how can I put this? We follow what would happen if like a crazy person found a Death Note, and that's the series. A crazy psychopath. That's really all you need to know about this series. Pick it up. It's amazing. It is. I read this first in middle school, and then I reread it like a few years ago. Actually, when I started getting back into manga, this was the first series that I was like, okay, let me read the whole thing again because I know I like this. I didn't know what direction to go in when it came to manga because I had no idea up until meeting my boyfriend. I had no one around me that cared for manga or watched anime or anything other than maybe like Dragon Ball Z or Naruto. Other than that, I had no one to really ask questions. So I think that was when I made my account so that I can start meeting other people and seeing what other people were reading. But in the meantime, I picked up Death Note because I knew I already liked it, and I knew I didn't remember anything because it had been a while. So I picked it up and I was like, yeah, no, still great series. I've never watched the anime, which I heard is not a problem. But yeah, I read this and then immediately bought a box set. I definitely wanted to get the singles. I just think these singles are so like beautiful. No hate to the deluxe editions. You just can't beat these. It's a psychological, I guess I would say thriller. People die, obviously. But it is so, like, psychological is all uppercase, and then thriller is lowercase. If that makes any sense. It is one of those things on my top 10 list that it's like, obviously, it's my top 10 because I read it in middle school. I still like it. It's definitely not a genre I read often anymore, but this is still something that I hold very close to me because of how long it's been in my life, basically. This was the first addition to my collection for manga. I don't think I had really anything else other than maybe the first volume of Sakamoto Days and the 2 deluxe editions for Dementia 21, which is one of the first series I read. That was a fever dream. Definitely not on this list, but I don't regret reading it. Whatever. Other than that, I didn't really have anything else, and after completely reading the series, I decided to buy the box set, and I am so happy. I have not, I read it online. I've not, looked at this. I've been so careful to not mess up any of this, so I have barely touched these. Don't go into it knowing too much. Don't look it up. Don't try and get a better summary. Just follow along. If the angle looks different, I ran out of space and had to make more. So I don't remember what I was saying, but I'm gonna move on. Hope it doesn't run out of storage again. So the next series I wanted to talk about is really just Shiver by Junji Ito. I have all, or this isn't all the Junji Ito I have, but this is the only one I've actually read. Everything else I have the Frankenstein and Uzumaki. I have not read those. But out of all that I've read, my favorite is Shiver, this collection. This is the first any Junji Ito I've read. And I instantly, like, I read it on the Viz Media app, and then I immediately had to go out and buy it because I was obsessed. And that kind of started me on reading I think I read all of this very soon after finishing this because I needed more. My favorite thing about Junji Ito's stories and his art, I just realized I haven't been showing any manga panels for any of these series. I'll try and see if I hopefully I'm putting stuff around me. If not, I'm so sorry. But something that I really loved about Junji Ito is his art, but also just his stories. They are categorized as horror, but I wouldn't say they're scary. They're more like creepy. The way I've always described it to people is like campfire stories, like the kind of horror that you tell to your friends around a campfire. And I don't know if that really makes sense to anyone or if that makes sense at all, but it makes sense to me, and that's how I understand it. But I think what I'm really trying to say is like it's horror, but it's not scary. It's more just like very creepy and eerie and just like camp almost. There's a lot of stories in here that I wouldn't describe as horror at all. I would describe them as the campiest, most outrageous thing you can think of, and it's amazing. I love it. But Shiver, in my opinion, and I think I've seen in a lot of people's opinion, is his best collection. I mean, this is where you have the space balloons, the centipede, I think, the crazy looking model story, the the mysterious record, I forgot what it's called. I haven't read this in a few years, but this is just amazing. Another one of my favorite stories is Ramina. I don't really know how to describe this. An unknown planet gets discovered by this guy, and he names it after his daughter Ramina, and cults start getting formed. People go crazy. It's a silly, crazy story, but I love it. I love this story so much. It's also beautiful. I mean, and this is like one of the in pages. I don't know what it's called. I think this is gorgeous. I remember buying this solely because of how beautiful it was. Another one I wanted to specifically talk about is Tomi. This is one of his more well-known stories, and this is another one that I wasn't so sure if I wanted to buy. I didn't even know if I really wanted to read Tomi, but there's a story featuring her in Shiver, I believe, or maybe it's, what is this called? I really wanted to read one of his like bigger stories, which I think is Gyo, Uzumaki, and Tomi. So I wanted to start with Tomi's because I had already gotten a taste of that storyline, I guess, in Shiver. So when I started reading this, I read it on the Viz Media app. I've read most of his stuff other than maybe like Ramina, like his full-length stories, but I think his collections I've read on Viz Media and then got the physical version. I'd love to have a full Junji Ito collection. I just think he's a genius. But Tomi I also read on Viz Media just because this is big. This is a big one. But Tomi is a story where, like I said, a lot of his stuff is not really scary, it's more creepy. I still think that about Tomi, but for some reason, throughout the entire time that I was reading this, I was having nightmares of Tomi, and I was so happy when I finally finished this because I was like, I can sleep normally, which doesn't usually happen anyways, but at least my dreams weren't so, like, catered to what was in this. It was so bizarre, and like I said, still not like scary, more just creepy. And yet I was waking up so uncomfortable every single morning. I was like, she's in my brain, she's in my thoughts at all times. I'm not even noticing she's doing something to me. This book is nonfiction. But I think that just shows just how genius Junji Ito is. His stories are so amazing. You don't even realize how creeped out and uncomfortable you are while you're reading it. You're just kind of like, what is happening the whole time? And then the stories end without you even really understanding what just happened. But like a sound, like someone makes a noise in the hallway and you find yourself jumping and you're like, I didn't realize I was holding my breath. So that's something I really love about Junji Ito. If you're into horror or art, basically, I would really recommend Junji Ito, and I would start anywhere. But my recommendation would be his collection Shiver. All of these, I'm pretty sure his entire collection you can find on Viz Media. But yeah, I would get on that. Okay, moving again. My knees are in so much pain. Okay, so the next series I want to talk about is Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. This is another one of my favorites. I'm actually watching season 2 right now, in dubbed. I'm sorry. So I'm not caught up with the series. I'm not caught up with the manga series either, like physically owning the volumes or reading it, because I'm reading it on the Viz Media app. But this one's, I mean, it says it in the name. It's following Frieren and her journey after her journey. She has this journey to defeat the Demon King with this group of adventurers. Where the story starts is after that journey ends. So she gets kind of confronted with how much she doesn't understand about humans, because Frieren is an elf, so she has lived, I'm pretty sure, like thousands of years by now. She doesn't really see the importance of forming connections with humans because they have such short lives compared to hers. And after this journey, she forms pretty deep connections. And let me see, I don't want to say too much, but basically something happens where she realizes how short human lives are and how much she wants to understand humans more and the things they find important compared to what she finds important. And she goes on a journey with a new party, and it's just kind of her discovering how to form connections, trying to savor the lives of her new friends, and it's just so sweet. Obviously there's a purpose for this journey as well, read it to find out, but I just find this series to be just so incredibly heartwarming. I mean, I haven't read this series in a while. I think it's been like 2 years since I've gone back to try and catch up with the manga. And it's been a while since the first season came out. I'm watching the anime with my boyfriend. And I have found that I miss these characters so much that every episode that we've watched of season 2, I have teared up just randomly because of how much I miss them and how much I miss their friendship with each other. It's just such a sweet show that you wouldn't even realize how deep your connection is with these characters as you go through the series. I think there's a better way I could have said that, but that's basically it. You don't realize how much you care for them, and it's very similar to Frieren's discovery with how much she cares for these humans in the beginning, and then even throughout her journey with these new friends. She doesn't realize how much they mean to her until certain things happen that make her realize she's actually forming connections with humans. So this is a really sweet series. I highly recommend it. It's another series too that the animation in the anime is just phenomenal. They can take as long as they want with every episode, with every season, because they are not skimping on the animation. It really does the manga justice, so I would pick up either of them. Unfortunately, that's all I have to say about this. It's just a very sweet series. I don't know what chapter I'm on. I don't think I have too much to catch up on, maybe like 20-30 chapters. But I am at a point where the action is getting a little more front facing and the plot is getting more front facing, because at first it really just seemed like slice of life and then action and plot here and there, which I hope doesn't go away because I do love that. But the plot is a lot more like in your face now. I mean, I'm not gonna say too much because I have talked about this non-stop. The next series is The Climber. All of these are library books. I have to give up the first 2 volumes soon. I just have not been ready to get rid of these volumes. I have been enjoying this so much. This series follows this our main character Mori, and he starts at a new school. We kind of get a sense that something happened at his old school to make him change schools. But all we know, it's kind of left him very isolated. He isolates himself from people. He's a loner basically, and he wants to stay that way. And he starts getting picked on at this new school, and he's kind of challenged to, if he can climb the school building, that he'll be left alone. So with, I'm assuming, no experience, he goes and sets off to do that, and he accomplishes it. I don't know if that's a spoiler, sorry. He accomplishes it, and we find out it's actually like extremely impressive that he did that. So he basically gets into climbing. That's all I'm gonna say, because I don't know what else would be a spoiler. I've also talked extensively about this series, and I'm going to continue in other videos, so I don't want to say too much, but just know that this series is the most recent addition to my favorite manga series, and I think it's gonna stay there for a while. I'm very excited. This is on my top 10. I've only read this. I have not even started volume 3. I mean, who knows? I might not like the series after reading volume 3 or whatever. I highly doubt that though, because I have become so interested. I have not stopped thinking about this series. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say for this one. So my next series, because you can't see it because of the light, is Wotakoi. This is another one of like my first manga series I completely read, and this is one that like I just found, or my boyfriend found for me when we were just looking through the manga section when I was trying to find more things to read because I was so new to it. And I started reading this, and I immediately fell in love. I don't think I bought this immediately. I think I started reading it online. I'm not sure where. I think the K-Manga app I started reading this on, and I immediately decided I was going to start buying it because I loved it. I mean, my profile picture on everything that has to do with manga is Narumi. I love her. I love her personality. I love everything about every character in this. I really wish that it continued. I would have read so much more about these characters than what's here. So much more. I'm like constantly trying to see if this mangaka has come out with anything else. I don't know if I'm just looking in the wrong places. So if you know that this mangaka has come out with another series, please let me know. But yeah, I would read so much more. It's basically just an office romance slice of life. There's really no plot to any of this. There's really not much else to say because it is just so like, I'm telling you, there's no plot. There's nothing. You're just following these people on their day-to-day. There's a few couples that you follow here, and then this is another one. And they're all just so amazing. They're so great. I love each of these characters and their dynamics, like with each other and then within each couple. But this is kind of like the main couple, I would say, even though there's really not like main character, main couple. These are the closest to a main couple that this series gets to. I love them so much. So that's all I'm gonna say. It's a really short time with this series, but there's really nothing else to say. It's super sweet, it's funny. Even this series has gotten me to tears a couple times because it's just so It's just so sweet. Even though there's no plot, it's just like slice of life, you still get so close to these characters, or it's just me. But yeah, this is me piling everything here because I don't want to get up anymore. This next series, I'm sure no one's surprised by, is Yakuza Fiance. The only copies, or the only volumes I own physically are the first two. I'm hoping to continue my collection. I hope just me buying more volumes will convince the mangaka to continue this series. I will literally pay for this series to continue. I don't really know much of what I can say, but basically these two are from two opposing Yakuza clans, and they get put into an arranged marriage to have the clans like come together. And arranged marriage is very loose. Like, this is, I think the mangaka puts in the first volume, like, this is a camp version of Yakuza and the Yakuza world. I've been loving reading these. She literally puts, needless to say, real criminal organizations aren't like this, but I hope you enjoy the camp for what it is. Love it. And yeah, you just kind of follow their strange dynamic. It gets so crazy. There's actual, like, real plot to this, so it's not just it's barely romance. In my opinion, that's not romance, but it is so funny. I'm laughing every couple pages, but you're also still like going through it, wanting to know what's gonna happen next, and then you're also there for the romance that does develop. It is so cute. It's crazy. It's a great time. I love this series, and I need more people to read it so that it continues, please. This is actually a series that I watched the anime first, and I've actually watched the anime twice now. I've only read the series once, but the series does continue after the anime, so that's why it's on this list and not, I'm gonna make a video with my top 10 anime list. So the last series that I would put on this list, I don't have anything to show for because I don't think there's a physical copy out yet. I'm going to check as soon as I'm done recording this. But it's Shiba Inu Rooms, obviously. I've got my own little Shiba here. So when I think I found this series when there was only like 3 or 4 chapters available, and I was reading it every single week when there was a new chapter. I think it was every 2 weeks, I don't know. But I was keeping up with it. I had to stop because it's a super cute series. It's got kind of a dark lore to it. Basically, the main Shiba Mu is Mu-chan is the name that's given to him. He's a grumpy Shiba, but he has a super sweet heart inside. That is basically my little Shiba. His name is Koda. So that's kind of why I kept on reading it. But I'm not going to say anything else about the plot because that kind of gives away. I think you learn it very early in the series, but I think it's something to experience yourself. Just know it's a little dark. They're not like Shibas. They're not what you think they are. But they talk, so it's talking dogs, so that's how you get so much of the personality of them. I had to stop reading it. I have not caught up. I think I've only read like up to 24, and I think the series has continued. I haven't read it in a while because every time I've read a chapter, I would cry because I made the mistake to only read it while I was at work on my break. And obviously, I don't work from home, so when I'm reading this, that reminds me so much of my dog. I'm away from my dog, so it would make me miss him so much that I would cry. So I haven't read it in a while. I'm like, I can't. I'm already crying all the time because I'm a big crybaby. So to read something that like 100% will make me cry, I can't, especially if it has to do with my dog. I love him so much. It's so sweet. I don't really know what else to say. At the point that I'm reading, it's kind of like started to give some sort of plot, but it's mostly been slice of life. I don't know if at this point it's got more of a plot to it. I don't know if my heart can handle that though, so I have not picked it up again. But it is an amazing series. I think that's it. If you're surprised that other series are not on this list, if you know me, just know I will be making another video for my top 10 anime list, and what you're surprised isn't here might be there. Because there are series that I've read both the manga and watched the anime for, and I started off with the anime, and it is more in my memories of the anime, if that makes sense. Just know that it might be there. If not, I'm sorry to disappoint. Like I said, my top 10 is constantly changing, so this might be completely different. I am continuing to constantly read new series, so I think this will be something that I do maybe once a year, maybe at the end of the year or at the beginning of the year, just to kind of see where my favorites lie and how much my taste has changed. Because I feel like every single year, if I look back on like the books I've read and the books I've enjoyed, or the manga series or anime series I've enjoyed in that year, and I compare it to past years, every single year my taste has changed so much. So I'm excited to see how that continues, especially now that I have a way to document that. So yeah, this is the first video I have filmed that I was sweating and out of breath for a lot of it. I don't think I needed to do that. I'm probably gonna be putting stuff around here. That's gonna take some time. Hopefully this video comes out well and I explained everything well. I feel like a lot of the series that I really enjoy, I don't know how to talk about. I'm able to talk about series that I don't really care about, but then when it comes to series that are my absolute favorite and are so close to my heart, I'm just speechless when I'm trying to talk about it. Like, I don't know how to express how much these series mean to me. So if I did a good job, let me know. If I didn't, subscribe, and all of my links are going to be in the bio. I'm on Instagram, I'm on Substack, I don't know where else I am. I think that's it. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts are. If you like these series, if you think I'd like another series based off of this list, please let me know. I'm always looking for recs, and yeah, this was fun.